We have a quorum and we've reached the appointed hour. Let us invite the deputations into the room. This morning, we have many deputations coming to this hearing, and some still wanted to come yesterday. But if we can accommodate, there's so many people we can accommodate. So for those who not able to make an early enrollment, they will have to make a submission in writing. Yes, I urge the administration to address the issues. Yes, we will consider the working group proposed by Mr. Chen. It will be handled under AOB. Yes, may I welcome the deputations. Please take your seat. Our staff members will help you to find your place. Please look at the name plates. If you can look at your name plates, if you look, you can look at the name plates. You'll find your seat. Welcome. May I also welcome the government officials, and they are Professor Chen Shu-chi, Deputy Undersecretary, and then we also have Mr. LEUNG Chi-yuen, and then Mr. Wong, and of FEHD, and also Mr. Fan, also from FEHD. Right. This special meeting has only one topic for discussion, and that is the hawker policy of the SARG. On behalf of the panel, may I welcome the groups and individuals who are going to make their presentations. I would like to remind you that in front of you there is a microphone, and there is also an earpiece. When you speak, please speak into the microphone so that we can hear you more clearly. If you want to use the earpiece, channel 0 is a floor channel, channel 1 is Cantonese, and channel 2 is English. As a chairman, I would like to remind you, and I'm duty-bound to remind you, that what you say today at the meeting is not protected by the Legislative Council Powers and Privileges Ordinance. Now, your submissions will not enjoy that protection either. And that means you will be held responsible for what you say. You don't have any privilege. If somebody allege that you defame him or her, then you may have to face litigations. Today we have many deputations, and therefore I can only give each one of you 3 minutes. And if you cannot complete your presentation within 3 months, we welcome you supplementing your presentation by written submissions, and they will be circulated among members. Without further ado, I will invite the representative Lion Rock Institute. Yes, we are the first group, and behind us there are many who are defending the interests of hawkers. Now, what will they say? They are in difficulty. They want to have compensation. The pitches belong to them. Now, after the year 2000, there are still new license for hawkers. But before 2000, the licenses are given to the hawkers by the colonial government. Most of the hawker licenses are licenses handed over to them by their ancestors. Now, these hawker licensees are not doing hawking because they have a license. They don't need to pay any rent for their stalls. Yet, illegally, they let out these stalls to the true hawkers. These licensees are no different from landlords. The hawker license is not for renting or for letting. The hawker license is for hawkers to do business. You trade in Sam Shui Po, a single mother doing business in the streets in Sam Shui Po, selling underwears. She is paying the rent to a licensee. The hawker who does business only feeds those who inherit the licenses. The Lion Rock Institute is of the view that genuine hawkers should be given the hawker license. And our proposal is this. The hawker licenses that have been inherited should be taken away from the existing licensees and put these licenses up for auction so that the licenses can be given to the bona fide hawkers. As for fire safety of hawker stalls, the Lion Rock Institute is not a fire safety expert, but in view of previous fires, risk assessment has to be made on these fixed pitches. And if these fixed pitches are causing serious threats to pedestrians and residents in the buildings nearby, there should be appropriate law enforcement and regulation. Thank you. The next. Do you need to recover your breath? May I invite Mr. Dr. LEUNG Chi-yuen of the PolyU to speak? Good morning. I'd like to spend a few minutes on my suggestion. The government should conduct a wide consultation on hawker policy as early as possible. In recent years, we have talked to the Bureau and the Department, and we heard that they had a hawker policy. There is a direction for the development of hawking or hawker policy, but we have not seen any implementation of this policy. After the Fa Yuen Street fire, there were several consultations, and there were also reports issued, but those were just piecemeal measures. We are worried that in the past 20 years, number of hawker licenses declined by 2/3, but there is still an increase in illegal hawking. As for the ex gratia payment, it is an existing policy. With this policy, the number of hawkers will continue to decline. I mean, licensed hawkers. I have my detailed submission in writing. I'm not going into details, but if you look at Asia, Africa, and South America, you can see that they have their hawker policy, and their hawker policy are still developing.
In the year of 2009, the Indian government has released a hawker paper, and Hong Kong has a history of hawker policy for over 100 years. And I think we should take reference of the Indian government in attaching importance to public participation and the use of public space in its hawker policy. I teach in a university, and I've done research on this aspect. Looking at past records, Well, it was a long time ago when the government has conducted a review on the hawker policy, and for independent surveys, well, they were done also in the previous government. There was the ERPCO and the RECHCO, which took charge of hawker policy and consultation, and they did it a survey once every decade, and this was welcomed by the members of the public. But then after the SARG was established, the government takes over the responsibility. And I don't think the LEGCO members are following very closely on the hawker policy. And in my submission, I have pointed out, I have made 8 suggestions towards hawker policy. So please look at my submission. Thank you, Dr. Leung. DAB. Mr. Poonchak Pan. Thank you, Chairman. In the past 50 years, hawker is a special characteristic of Hong Kong. The hawker culture is worth our preservation. They may sell food or dried goods, and they have their own stories. Now, in view of Hong Kong's rapid urbanization, the government and the public attach more importance to development and public hygiene, and they're cutting down the space for hawkers to operate. I think the hawker culture is worth preservation, and the urbanization should exist in tandem with the hawker policy. Should we phase out the hawkers? Can we not accommodate the hawkers in our urbanization drive? I think the government should make use of the opportunity of the assistance scheme to improve the planning for hawkers to attract more tourists and enhance the customer patronage. In fact, many of the tourist spots around the world are hawker communities. Like the Covent Garden in London is a very successful example, and the old buildings are renovated, and then the hawker policy, the hawker culture is there. Well, the goods on offer are like those offered in Temple Street and Ladies Market and Far Yuen Street, and it has become a tourist spot because it can instill some modern elements to the hawker community and enhances its attraction. Well, if this place without any planning, it will not be any different from any other flea markets. So I think we can learn a lesson from it, and it can help match the needs of people for a modern shopping environment with good ventilation, good visual views. And these are all the advantages of the place, and these have to be planned by the government. What is most controversial this time is about the government's plan to relocate some 500 stores or pitches in the name of fire prevention. And this is going to have an adverse impact on the hawkers, on their livelihood and business. So I hope the government should tread carefully in this relocation exercise and to minimize the number of hawkers that need to be relocated, and should engage in more dialogue with the hawkers. Thank you, Mr. Poon. Ms. Leung Siu-hing, next. Thank you, Chairman. Good morning. I am I'm a hawker in the Kwun Tong Mat Street temporary hawker market. I have the following opinions. I think the government's standards on the design of hawker stores are too stringent, and they are neglecting the operation needs of the hawkers. The stores are required to be 1.5 meters apart, and that won't be able to accommodate a heavy flow of visitor traffic. So I think the government should widen that width. Also, take Kwun Tong as an example. Our stores have been higher than 2.5 meters, and we need to be relocated to a new market. And according to the FSD's requirements, the stores are now housed in a structure, a building, and then the requirement on the height is 3 meters. Now, if that is the case, why is it that the requirement on us is 2.5 meters and not 3 meters? The relevant regulations can't catch up with our needs. I think the government should relax the requirement. Now, because of this, I have the following suggestion. First, the government should revise the design requirements for the fixed pitch hawker stores, and to widen the width between the stores, and then the requirements should catch up with the times, and the government should improve our overall business environment. Next is Kwun Tong, Kowloon Kwun Tong Mat Wah Street Temporary Market Mutual Aid Committee, Mr. Fong Kwang Wai. Good morning, Chairman, members. I am from the Kwun Tong Mat Wah Street Temporary Market Mutual Aid Committee, and our committee comprises licensed hawkers and assistants in our market, and we are also one of the members of the Federation of Hong Kong Kowloon New Territory Soccer Associations. I have the following suggestion. As existing licensees may want to surrender their license for various reasons, and then they might have nobody who want to take over the license. Why can't we establish a assistant registration system so that the assistants can apply for a license, and then they can still earn a living through hawking, and then the government can help the underprivileged and also extend the hawker culture. And at the same time, the number of hawker licenses will not be reduced as a result. So we are using this means to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So we have the following suggestion. After the government has taken back the licenses, it should implement a system whereby the assistants can become a licensee through a ballot, and then the number of licenses can also be maintained at the existing level. Thank you, Mr. Ho. Next is Dairy Products, Beverage and Food Industries Employees Union. Mr. Zhang, Chairman. Thank you, Chairman and members. This is our opinion. We strongly urge the government to review the hawker policy and to delineate clearly the responsibilities of various government departments. Since the 2 fires in Fa Yuen Street in 2010 and 2011, the government has adjusted its hawker policy to prevent reoccurrence of similar fires. We have the following opinions. First, in 2009, the electrical members, in response to public demands, have asked the FEHD to issue licenses to cigarette vendors, to issue them licenses. While the oldest vendor started selling cigarettes since 1925, and it has been operating for over 80 years. And since May 2010, the FEHD has also issued a license to 8 cigarette vendors. But regrettably, the FEHD has revised the fixed pitch hawker license without the electrical's approval, and it is running against the public's aspirations, and it aims to phase out the cigarette vendors. So we hope that the electrical members can can tackle this issue, and to ask the FEHD to go back to its original policy, so that the hawkers or the hawkers' assistants can continue their operation. Second, tourism is one of the 4 pillar industries in Hong Kong, and the ice cream vendors have been serving Hong Kong people and tourists. Many years ago, our association has requested FEHD to issue new itinerant frozen confectionery hawker license, and that was agreed upon by the electrical members then. And then the FEHD then issued, he said that issuing 100 itinerant licenses may affect public hygiene and pedestrian flow. They decided to first issue 60 licenses, and then a review will be conducted after that, and then the remaining 40 licenses would be considered to be issued. Now, the FEHD, well, you have just a little bit more to go. Please finish it. Has issued 60 itinerant licenses. So we hope that the government can review the policy on the small ice cream vendor licenses and issue the remaining 40 licenses to create jobs and to provide service to Hong Kong people and tourists. The next one is Street Culture Concern Group, Mr. Fong Peng Tak. I want to introduce innovation in how we think about the or consider the hawker policy. If you look at history, in some books, actually the hawker policy is one of a compassionate policy for the grassroots. In the 21st century, Hong Kong is a cosmopolitan city. Our hawker policy is lagging behind so much compared to other countries. In Asian countries, in Taipei, Japan, and Thailand, what kind of policies do they have? Well, take Japan as an example. They've got a Bingzhou, a sort of committee, street committee, which comprises representatives from district committees and the residents, and they have this sort of Tai Pai Tong in Japan, 8 feet times 12 feet. They have independent water and electricity supplied, provided by the government, and they operate several hours in the evening from 5 to 6 p.m. to midnight, 12. And in Taiwan, Ms. Leung Chi-yuen, the Culture Ministry, is taking charge of the relevant policy, and it gives out resources to district committees and to operate night markets like Silum and Shengyu Hall. And these stores operate from 4 p.m. to 12 midnight. They have all the support facilities they need, fire service facilities, and so on. And it's much larger than 3 feet times 4 feet, the size. So these are all the policies that these governments have implemented. In Thailand, well, it is going further still. The relevant economic and tourism ministry is developing this Chakucha bazaar, and it has developed since the 70s, and the renowned designers are operating there too. So it's a bazaar offering not only traditional handicrafts and food, but other innovative products as well. So the government has made investment, committed resources in, fire prevention, fire services facilities, and so on. Japan's regulations are the most stringent, and they are having all sorts of designs to the sort of hawker cabinets. So I think it's very difficult for FEHD. It is an enforcement body. It doesn't have the capability to draw up policies. So I think it's best that the government can establish a hawker development fund or set up an interdepartmental group to sustain the development of the hawker culture. I think that is best. Thank you, Mr. Fong. Next is Association of Hong Kong and Kowloon Licensed Hawkers, Mr. Wu Kam Hong. Mr. Wu, thank you, Chairman.
Concerning the government's policy on hawker, hawker policy paper, Para 9 said that the members are concerned about the development of hawking, and some members are disappointed. Some members want to have a development fund, but I believe members will be very disappointed. As for law enforcement, Para 16, I think some of the members, they are concerned about the operational difficulties faced by itinerant hawkers. And they're disappointed at the management of hawker black spots by the LVHD. In the year 2011, I criticized Ms. Liu-hing. She was responsible for hawker policy, and she said that she got the agreement of the LegCo and issue letters to the itinerant hawker associations. The black spots, it was said that these black spots had been agreed upon by the two unions, including my union. And that is a lie. I think Mr. Vincent Fang and also Mr. Wong for criticizing the FEHD for setting up these black spots, or for designating certain places as black spots. I hope the panel will pay attention to this. As for the hawker control team, I don't agree that they are enforcing the law. The FEHD is responsible for managing. There are different management issues. And the hawker control team just adopt different standards, different approaches, or they just enforce the policy or the rules according to their whims. And they have so-called prohibited zone. We are not in a war zone. How can there be a prohibition zone? After the fire in Fa Yuen Street, it became an excuse for clamping down on hawking trade. I was in the hospital in 2011. I was unable to come to attend the meeting. I sent a letter to the FEHD. The FEHD put the blame on us. There are restrictions on the height and width of the pitches, 3 times 4 meters, and the second floor is more than 4 meters high. The fire spread because there is condoning of the illegal practice or malpractice of the pitches. Now, as for unauthorized extension, even government officials have unauthorized building works in their homes. Everybody is doing that. The problem is with the FEHD. There is maladministration, and it should not put the blame on us. Thank you, Mr. Wu. Next is the chairman of the Federation of Hong Kong Kowloon New Territories Hawkers Association, Madam Cheng. Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to thank members for paying attention to the hawkers. But you need to do your homework. You need to communicate with the operators. You need to understand our circumstances and our needs so that you will not do anything bad out of good intention. We urge the administration to review its hawking policy, in particular fixed pitch hawkers, in respect to fixed pitch hawkers. In 2008, the administration started reissuing hawker license, and we got 70% of the assistants participating in the drawing of lots. Now, there were 2 fires in Fa Yuen Street, The FEHD reviewed existing policy, and in November, starting from November 2012, there was the introduction of suspension and revocation arrangements. And it is said that there will be a 5-year assistance scheme to improve fire safety of the pitches. Pitches outside the entrances of buildings will be relocated, and there is also a voluntary surrender arrangement. The scheme starts on the 3rd of June, and we don't know what is what will be the development. With the return or surrendering of license, the assistants will have no way to make a living. We need to have time to adjust to the government's new policy. We need to upgrade our stores. We brace the elements of the weather in order to make a living. We want to make a living without being disturbed. We want to make a living in peace. Now, if we have new members in this council, we have a review of policy, then we will have to face changes of policy from time to time. We just want to have a good business environment, a good business platform, so that we can provide a better service, a wider choice to the community. We just want to make a living. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chen. And the next is Temple Street Trade Association, Yamate, Mr. Chen. Well, I'm glad to see young people here. I'm glad to see new groups, and also those the Alliance or Justice, or with the name of Justice or Culture. It seems that we are in a revolution. Some ask for monitoring us, supervising us, but we are supervised by the FEHD, and we don't need them to supervise us. I really don't understand why there are so many new groups. With regard to the inheritance of license, the use of material, size of stores, the merit system, or the license recovering system, say paying $120,000, we face a host of new measures, and we are faced with difficulties. There are outsiders trying to design the business for us. Now, the Tin Sao Hui, I believe it will be a failure, though it has yet to close down. The Tanglong Bazaar was also a failure. Now you can put up a temporary store in a pedestrian precinct, or you just put the stalls in front of you. That's really useless. If I give you a stall, you don't know how to manage it. Don't ask academics to make proposals to change us. Well, we know how to do business. Don't tell us what to do. What we need is a certainty to make a living. We want to use our efforts to make a living. Don't change the policies. Now, when there is a new group of members, there are new policies, and we are not able to follow these policies closely. I just want to get some money to raise a family, and that's what I want. Don't tighten the policy. Thank you. Next, Tung Soi Street Traders Association, Mr. Tam, the chairman. Thank you, Chairman, for giving me the floor. I have been in the hawking trade for several decades. The unreasonable policy inherited from the British Hong Kong government have not been improved. In fact, there are more stringent measures added to deal with us. Say that the merit system, the suspension system, the restriction on height of the stalls, distance between stalls, and also stalls that are at the entrance of buildings have to be relocated. I really find it strange. When you escape, you don't need to go straight ahead. So if there is a car in front of you, you have to make a detour. So the allegation that we block the means of escape is really unfounded. The relocation policy is something the government should reconsider. Different hawker bazaars or hawker pitches have difficulties in respect of relocation. I hope the associations can collect the details and then talk to the government. I hope that the administration will not ask us to move. Sometimes we really can't move away.
係咁多啦，多謝晒。
多謝你，譚主席。下一位係
Next, North Point Hawker Association, Mr. Wong. I support Mr. Chang and Mr. Chen's words. We share their view. We support the proposals of the Federation. Next, Eastern District Hawkers Association, Madam Low. Yes, we are united. As for relocation, I hope the authorities will have a better arrangement and do not disturb our business. Thank you. Next is Cross Street, Tai-yuen Street Speech Hawkers Rights Concern Group. Madam Leung. Thank you, Chairman. I'm glad to attend this meeting, and so that we can speak the views of hawkers. The present hawker policy is not appropriate. The hawker policy launched in June will last for 5 years. We have yet to see the results. Many groups are asking for reviewing the hawker policy. I really don't know what they want to review. Today object to proposals of the government for no reason. Some of the old hawkers, they are not happy with getting $120,000 in exchange for the license. The government has just ignored the hawkers. People are trading in the streets until they die and nobody cares for them. Now, with the effort of the Federation, we can get a compensation of $120,000, and that's a good thing. It's not a gift. It is just better than nothing. As for reorganizing the hawker stores, the reorganization should base on the existing license. Outsiders should not be allowed to take charge of this reorganization. The license is a way to make a living. What will be the change? We are the users. We have the real needs. We will not go beyond the restriction of the FEHD. Now you're going to change the store, but that may not change that may not fit our situation. Say, for example, if I sell dry food, I sell clothes, I sell flowers. I have different needs, and your design cannot fit all the circumstances. As for the means of escape, well, we are not affected by this very much. We only have 12 stalls. But in other districts, the impact is very great.
And that deals a blow to the operating environment of the hawkers. I don't get it. Why is that in the past, the FEHD and FSD have not considered the issue of the means of escape. Now that fire had happened and you are trying to just to do some remedial measures, we can't follow your requirements really. Now the building has got a sort of permit, and why isn't the issue of fire means of escape be considered in the first place? And you are trying to do something to the hawkers. Now from Jordan Crescent, I don't think there is a need to review the hawker policy for the moment. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The next one is Wingcut Street Hawkers Association, Ms. Ho Hong Yok, Chairman. Chairman, members, good morning. The hawker policy the new policy has just been implemented, and that is drawn up after some detailed deliberations. Now that is implemented only on the 3rd of June. Why do we need a review so soon? Shouldn't we be testing it out for some time, say for 1 to 2 years, before we conduct a review? We should not do a review now. Thank you. Next one is Fa Yun Street Hawker Trade Association, Mr. Chen Kin-leung. Mr. Chen, thank you, Chairman. On the hawker policy in Hong Kong, I don't think I'm qualified to speak too much about it. Well, 2 generations of my family have operated in the street, and we've got 2 fires. I am looking at not only from the perspective of an operator, but for also a resident. Of course, we were terrified, and we appreciate the worries of the residents. I was also once a resident in Fa Yun Street. We know that the improvement needs to be undertaken on the environment. There were so many incidents in the past, and we have conflicts with FEHD staff. We try to be as accommodating as we can, no matter how stringent their demands are. Well, a lot of improvements have been made, and the Fa Yun Street hawkers have somewhat settled. Now, in the past 18 years, they have implemented a new suspension license policy and new measures on fire prevention. And, well, it seems that 30 or 31 stores have to be relocated in Fa Yun Street. And actually, over 30% of the stores will be affected by the relocation exercise. Now, it's been only 2 weeks since the new policy has been implemented, and we don't know yet what the impact is. In the past 3 months, I've talked to my fellow hawkers. Everyone is worried about the impact of the relocation, particularly on their business. We don't know that yet. So that's why Mr. Zheng of our federation said that in light of so many uncertainties, should we be suggesting new proposals to change the present environment? I suggest the Federation stance, and that is to wait, say, for 3 to 5 years after the new policy has been implemented, and then see whether there is a need to review. Next one. Mr. Chan from Mong Kok Fa Yun Street Hawker Trade Association. Mr. Chan, good morning, Chairman and members. I want to raise 3 points. Mr. Chan just now said that the new policy has been implemented since the 5th of June, and it was arrived at after some lengthy deliberations, and has been implemented for a short time only. So I don't think it's right that a review should be undertaken now. In Fao-yuen Street, we hold a regular meeting once every 3 months with the FEHD. We have good communication with the administration. Every 3 months, we would raise issues on the actual operations of our stores. So after the 2 fires, this communication channel has been established, and it is good. It's no longer a top-to-bottom approach, and is now a bottom-to-up approach. So I think the management of Fao-yuen Street is now quite satisfactory. And in the regular meeting, I reflected to the FEHD how to revitalize the street, and they agreed with my suggestion. The administration said that 2 or 3 years down the road, every fixed pitch hawker store has its unique characteristics. But I think we need to work together with the administration and the district councils. Well, we should have more resources to do that, and we should come in with special characteristics after the reconstruction. And the memory of the 2 fires will no longer be remembered. That's what our aspiration is. And the madam from the Lion Rock Institute made this point. Well, I want to respond to her point. Actually, we are not any landlords. We have been operating in the street for some 20 to 30 years. And we are braving all the elements during our operation. And so we hope to pull our heads together with the administration to think about ways to revitalize Fao-yuen Street and also other hawkers in other areas, so that the hawker areas can become tourist attractions. Thank you, Mr. Chen. The Retail Association of Fao-yuen Street from Nulla Road, from Mongkok Road to Nulla Road, Mr. Ma. Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, members. I think there is no need to review the hawker policy at the moment. In recent years, there have been many new policies. We are already very agitated. The operating environment in Fao-yuen Street has changed, and we've now settled down a bit, and then we have got this new policy. So we don't know, and we are confused. What we need is a very simple and stable environment to operate our business, and we can dwell harmoniously with our residents. That's what we want. From Aberdeen, Hawkers Association, Tin Kwang Bazaar, Ms. Fong. On the 28th of June 2011, I attended the joint meeting of the Manpower Panel and the Panel on Food Safety and Environmental Hygiene, and that meeting was about job creation. And I mentioned about legalizing the open-air bazaars, including the Tin Kwang open-air bazaar and another bazaar. And my proposal was supported unanimously by members present, and Dr. Gregory Leung at that time also said that before legalizing the open-air bazaars, it would be lenient towards the Tin Kwang Air Bazaar in its policy. So it's been 2 years down the road, and we hope that the government can really legalize the operation of the open-air bazaars. Thank you. Next one is Chung Fat Street Traders Association. Mr. Zhang. I support Ms. Cheng's views of the Federation of Hong Kong Kowloon Anti-Hawker Association. Do you have anything to add? No? Thank you very much. Next one is LEUNG Street Hawkers Association, Ms. She. I speak on behalf of LEUNG Street. The hawkers agree to the Federation's stance. Well, the business hours of hawkers are very long. And outsiders would not be able to understand how we operate and our feelings. We've been operating under our present model for many years. Now, after the two fires in LEUNG Street, hawkers have been receiving many letters from the administration. A hawker might ask, why is it that I have to be relocated at the end of the year? And they are very unhappy now. And they are operating for over 10 hours a day, and they are so very, very worried these days. The fire broke out in midnight, and if in the daytime, if somebody throws a cigarette butt on the street, it would be very easy to them to put out a fire if that happens. So don't create too many troubles for them. I mean, all they ask of is a way to make ends meet or make a living. And actually, some of the hawkers have their family members helping them, their children, to run the business. And they have, well, adjusted or adapted to their present environment. And it will be very difficult to ask them to adapt to new policies. And it won't be able for them to find another job. And for hawkers, some of the elderly operators may fall sick, and they may close their store, say for 1 or 2 days. But then the outsiders may think that they are very comfortable in their operations. But then you don't know that with all these new policies, they are very worried. And the Fire Services Department staff are measuring the dimensions of the stores every now and then, and they get worried. Well, they may have the question is whether they will be asked to relocate, and that is going to affect their way of making a living. So please don't affect them too much. There is so much pressure already in the society, which has an impact on them. Please appreciate their difficulties. Thank you, Ms. Chair. Next, Ms. Wong from Hong Kong Council of Social Service. On the hawker policy, HKCSS has several suggestions. Let's look at the present situation. Hong Kong has over 6,000 licenses. FEHD will not issue any new licenses. The present licensees, because they die or they don't have any next of kin to succeed to the licensee, then there is no mechanism for other people to succeed to take over the licensee if the licensees die away. Now, in June 2013, there is the launch of this assistance scheme, and the hawkers surrendering their licenses will be able to get an ex gratia payment of $120,000. Now, some hawkers may want to do that under this policy. We are worried that the hawker trade may wither. So we hope that members can pay attention to 2 points. One is that the hawkers have a positive impact to promoting the community economy. Now, the policy on managing hawkers is really taken from the perspective of managing public hygiene. But we do have to recognize that hawkers provide a lot of employment opportunities and provide goods for people. Say, take the example of the Tin Kwang Bazaar in Tuen Shui Wai. Many hawkers are the residents there. They make a living through hawking, and they also provide cheap goods for people in the residence. Now, for hawker policy, they have not been drawn up with the participation of the community residents. The community residents don't have any say in the hawker policy. Even though they say that the hawkers should stay, the government is not taking heed of their views. So please don't use a top to bottom approach in managing the hawkers. The community stakeholders can only play a passive role in drawing up hawker policy, and they fail to provide input to the hawker policy. We have several suggestions. The government should recognize the hawkers' contribution to the community and should not take a sweeping approach to phase out the hawkers, and hawker areas should be allowed in different districts. And if needed, the government should identify suitable sites for hawkers to run their business. The hawker policy should also be drawn up on with a district-based principle, and the district community residents can participate in drawing up the policy. We've got some detailed recommendations in our submission.
Thank you, Ms. Fong. Next is Ms. Ip of the Justice and Peace Commission of the Hong Kong Catholic Diocese. The members of Federation Hong Kong, Kowloon, New Territories, Hawker Associations said that some groups asked to change hawker policy. That's not true. We just say that some parts of the hawker policy is not clear. Say, how are they going to deal with the hawker license that have been surrendered? We want to make sure that the total number of hawkers remain unchanged. If a hawker license is surrendered, then another hawker license should be released for application or put up for application. There should be hawker bazaars in each district so that there can be a sustainable hawker market in each district. We have no intention to ask for a review of the new policy which has just been implemented for half a month. We just want to clarify certain issues which are ambiguous. We respect the views of hawkers. There is a lot of city space that is created by the hawkers. But we also need to consider the fact that many hawker license holders are old, and we are not against surrendering the hawker license for $120,000 and get the money for, as a kind of retirement benefit. But the question is, if the hawker license are surrendered, then some other frontline hawkers will have no way to do their business. So the hawker license surrendered should be reissued so that other hawkers can do their business and make a living. The hawker stalls are able to provide a wider choice to citizens at an inexpensive price, and hawker stalls are part of the local culture. They all, and a substantial part of local culture is derived from the hawkers in the street. The assistance scheme goes against the objective of hawker policy. We've raised a question with Dr. Koh, and he has an open mind. He said, with regard to the reissuing of the hawker license that have been surrendered, we really hope that hawker licenses can be reissued so that frontline hawkers can continue to do their business. The government should affirm the importance of the hawker trade, and also with the introduction of Tin Sao Hui or Tin Sao Market, other street hawkers cannot do their business, and we really need to look into the problem. Next is Ms. Fan of the United Hawkers Development Platform. I am a member of the United Hawkers Development Platform. We contact the frontline hawkers. In the past 6 months or so, we discovered that the majority of the hawkers are just assistants to licensees. We talked to them on the assistance scheme. We think it will affect two groups of people. First, the licensees. Since the moratorium on the issue of hawker license, the youngest licensee is in their 60s, 70s, or even in their 80s. We have nothing against surrendering the license, but the assistants are the real hawkers. They should have a say. If the licensee surrenders the license, then the hawker assistants will have no way to make a living. And these hawkers are worried, and they are afraid that there will be a substantial decline in the number of hawkers. This is the problem. There is no review, and there has been no comprehensive review. I don't ask for a review every year. The point is that there has never been a comprehensive review that looks at the development of the hawking trade and cares for the interests of hawkers. There are new measures, one after another, 1 year after another, and there is no certainty. And that's the problem. Our proposal is that under the new assistance scheme, the Bureau should give the undertaking that the overall number of hawker licenses remains unchanged. There should be a comprehensive policy review so that hawker licenses can be reissued. The hawker trade should be sustainable. Thank you, Ms. Fan. Next is Mr. LEUNG Chi-yuen, a hawker of Wing Lung Street. I am LEUNG Chi-yuen. I was a taxi driver in my 20s. My father had a stall in Cheungfa Street selling goldfish. My younger brother looked after that. But with the building of the market, my stall was relocated to the market, and then my brother became a truck driver, and my mother looked after the stall, but there was no business for the stall in the market. I provided maintenance of aquarium, and I worked for 10 banks. But after the DBS bank took over, we could not. We had no business. We sold goldfish in the market, but we had no business. There are less offices or less factories having aquariums, and therefore I hire a stall from. Rather, I become an assistant of a hawker in the street nearby. Now there is this assistance scheme. That is, the hawker can surrender the license for $120,000. The elderly gentleman is single, and the license cannot be inherited. He wants to return or surrender the license to the government. Then, well, I'm in my 60s. I am still a hawker. It's difficult to make a living. I still have to make a living. I'm paying about $2,000 in terms of rent. I've paid for the utilities. And my son is just 19, and he is doing installation of CCTV systems, and he can't even feed himself by meager wage. Now, we are the assistants of hawkers. We need to make a living too. Even after the license, when the license or after the license is surrendered, we really can't make a living. We don't want to live on CSSA. And I really don't, if the license is surrendered, I really have no way to make a living. I hope that you can help us. Thank you, Mr. Lam. Next, Mr. Token Tag, also a hawker from Wing Lung Street. I just want to tell you my story. I feel I'm threatened. I just want to know whether you agree with me or not. I'm a hawker in Wing Lung Street. I'm an assistant, a hawker assistant. The present policy is to give $120,000 to a license surrenders. And we support that because the elderly hawkers have been trading for a very long time. It's time for them to retire. But if they retire or they surrender their license, they will get $120,000, and we feel happy for them. But what about the assistants? We have been working with them for many years. If the license is surrendered, then the assistants cannot continue to trade in the street. But I have been trading as a hawker for many years. I'm a hawker assistant. I have been making a living by hawking for decades. I started to work in 1980s. This morning I trade in at the store and only come a while ago. Now, if the license is rendered, we'll become jobless. I'm not saying that this is a good job, but I need this job to make a living. We have nothing more to ask for. We just want to keep our job. Now, many will surrender the license. The FEHD is asking the assistants not to trade at the stores anymore if the licenses have been surrendered. There will be less hawkers in the street, and we really don't know how you're going to deal with the situation. We are just ordinary hawkers. We just want to make a living, raise a family, and that's just our humble wish. Our concern and our worry, in fact, is we really don't know where to get a job if the license is surrendered. Please help us. We just don't want to be the cattle in Lantau Island, and we are just left to our destiny. Mr. Mr. Lam, you don't need to be worried. We don't let you to become cattle, to become something like cattle in Lantau. Next is Mr. Tam of the Concerning CSSA and Low Income Alliance. Now, if you look up at the public gallery, you can see that there are many hawkers. They are bona fide hawkers. And we also have bona fide hawkers who have spoken, and they should be encouraged. There is a need to have a suitable hawker policy. There is an urgent need. Now, there is a suggestion that there should be a hawker bazaar in each district. The Tinsao market is an example, quote unquote.
The direction is correct, but then the methodology are for the methodology, there is room for improvement. We've got many new bazaar for hawkers in Cheung Kwan O and Tung Chung. So shouldn't we be developing to the direction that there is a hawker bazaar in every district? I also think there is a need for the government to issue new hawker licenses. I think that is one of the ways to realize that the government attends to urgent issues of people's concern. Now, after the fire in Fa-Yuen Street, the government has been enforcing the law rather stringently. And some hawkers said that there is room for improvement in the government's enforcement of the law. Let me quote an example. Some hawkers have received summonses from the FEHD. But after the two fires, there have been a lot of changes to the store areas and the design of the stores. And the hawkers have to spend a lot of money and efforts to change their store structure. It costs at least $100,000 to make such structural changes. A number of hawkers said that they already have difficulties in making a living, so that sum is very taxing on them. Now, the new hawker licenses have ceased to be issued since the 1970s. Now, I think the government is trying to phase out the hawkers through stringently enforcing the legislation. Dr. Koh said that he would not phase out hawkers, but I think he is indeed treating hawkers as thieves. I think the hawkers have sacrificed a lot for Hong Kong, so I am here to support and help the hawkers. Ms. Claudia Mo, I want to ask people who sit on the public galleries, they haven't spoken and disturbed the hearing. And they are just displaying the banners there. Do the security guards have the right to take away the banners? Isn't it a right that they enjoy, i.e., displaying the banners or holding up the banners at the public gallery? The clerk told me there is a set of guidelines on dealing with disturbances within the electrical building. In Article C, there is this stipulation. According to Chapter 382 on people allowed for entry into the building, the subsidiary legislation, Article 11, stipulates that anyone who comes into the chamber and who stays in the chamber should should abide by the instructions of the security guards in the building. The security staff have made enforcement action. If you, Ms. Mo, has any question on that, you can raise it with the House Committee. I don't think you can confiscate any banners being held up by members of the public in the public gallery. Do you, as a chairman, not have the right to ask the security staff to give back the banner to those sitting in the public gallery? Well, I noted that the paper is not a banner per se, but it's just a very long sheet of paper containing 10 to 12 words. Can the security staff give it back to the people? If you have difficulties in doing that, please let me know. I don't want to hold up the meeting because of that. All right, I would ask 2 people who have just arrived to speak. One is from Shamshui-po Night Market and Day Market Concern Group, Mr. Pang Kin-pui. I am a representative of the concerned group. Mr. Pang, could you speak to the mic, please? I am from Shamshui-po Night Market and Day Market Concerned Group. I am a representative of that group. The members of this group are hawkers in Shamshui-po. In the past few years, we've organized among ourselves and hold regular meetings. In this public hearing, for this public hearing, we have gathered views from our peer hawkers and hope that voice those to the administration. The government has been trying to phase out the hawker trade, and in the past years, the FEHD has been oppressing the hawkers, and the job opportunities are few. The business environment for hawkers is bad, and we have difficulties in operating our business. I think the hawker policy is in urgent need of review. I don't think the government is giving adequate protection to the underprivileged groups. So we have several suggestions. First, we hope that the administration can identify sites for establishing hawker bazaars for hawkers to operate. We don't want the government to make decisions unilaterally. I think it should consult the public on that and respect public voices. This is because hawkers and local residents know which sites are the best or can attract the greatest customer flow. Say, take Tin Shui Bazaar as an example. That model is not considered the most ideal by the local residents. This is a large-scale project planned by the government. The regulation, however, is too stringent. There are strict restrictions on the variety of goods and so on, and it doesn't meet the expectations of the hawkers. We don't want mega bazaars as these, with a lot of restrictions imposed on the hawkers by the government. Conversely, we ask that the government run several hawker bazaars dispersed or scattered in different areas of the same district. And the space should also be provided for hawkers to store their merchandise. And we hope that there are sort of mini sites for hawkers to operate. Flexibility should be provided to hawkers as to their choice of locations for selling for placing their stores. Mr. Pang, sorry, how much more time you need? 1 minute, perhaps? Well, I have given you more time than is allowed. Can you be quicker? Well, in a week, the hawkers should be allowed to run their business in busy areas, and they should be given flexibility also in their business hours. So I hope that the administration can listen to our views and provide more flexibility for the hawkers, and the hawkers should be given more autonomy in deciding on where to operate, and the government should draw up long-term policies, coordinate among themselves to draw up good policies and respect the hawkers and improve the lives of the hawkers. This is our wish. Thank you, Chairman. Well, you speak a lot. Well, your points are very good. Mr. Pang, I haven't received a written submission from you. Since I note that you have some speaking notes, can you provide those to the panel for our reference? Thank you. Mr. Li Tai-shing from the support group for the grassroots. We come from the old districts. We hope that the government can give more room for the grassroots to make a living. We have two observations. A lot of the grassroots people cannot consume in the big shopping arcades, those run by the link. They go to hawker areas to spend because the rental in these shopping arcades are so high. So we are helping a lot of the underprivileged groups, CSSA recipients. They have this strong view that if without the hawker areas, they would have nowhere to make purchases. Now, actually, a lot of our residents used to be hawkers, and they now turn to low-paid jobs, or even they don't have a chance to get in those job types even. So, for the over 1 million people who are under the poverty line, the hawker trade is very important to them. Now, if the government continues to phase out the hawker trade, then these group of people will be plunged into further difficulties. So we have several specific requests. Well, one more thing. In the LegCo, on the 14th of November 2011, or 2007, a motion was passed to urge the government to develop open-air bazaars. Well, it's been 6 years down the road now. Why hasn't anything been achieved on that front? Conversely, the administration is trying to phase out hawking trade. Is it true that the government is not taking heed of the views of the LegCo members? Well, let me reiterate once again, that motion was passed on the 14th of November 2007. We have several specific requests. The government should develop open-air bazaars in different districts in Hong Kong. Apart from FEHD, other panels like the welfare services and manpower panel can hold a joint meeting to hear views of the public or the hawkers. I don't think it has to do only with the food hygiene and environmental hygiene, food safety or environmental hygiene panel. I think the issue straddles across different policy areas. Now, at the Commission on Poverty, I think discussions should be held on using hawker as a means to get people out of poverty. Well, many groups have tried to promote the development of open-air bazaars, but then it seems that the FEHD and other government departments are not cooperating on that front. We hope them to streamline the relevant procedures, and we hope that a long-term policy can be drawn up with the participation of various government departments. Now, for Tin Shao Bazaar, after it has been established, the hawkers by the Tin Kwang River have had a hard time, and the FEHD seems to be stepping up on its enforcement actions against them. These hawkers couldn't get into the bazaar, and they are still operating by the side of the river. But because the FEHD is stepping up their enforcement action, then they are plunged into great difficulties. So I think the government should draw up a long-term policy on open-air bazaars. There should be a comprehensive policy. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Lee.
Next is our architect, an architect, Mr. Yuen. Yes, I'm an architect. I also study the design of hawker stalls. The hawker trade is very unique. It has a long history. Hawkers trade in the streets, and there is interaction between the pedestrians and the hawkers. The hawkers are regulated by laws and rules, and the hawkers have to adjust to that and respond to that. It is a kind of organic architecture. If you look at the 43 streets which have hawkers, you can see their organic responses to the situation. And that, I believe, if they allow more freedom to respond to the circumstances, then it will become a very important attraction for Hong Kong. According to my study and visits in the past 6 months, I think the biggest problems are as follows. First, the canopy. Second, the display of the goods. And the third is the opening and closing of the stores. We need to comprehensively look at these 3 areas to make improvements. More has to be done on the design, and we need to consider the location and the goods to be displayed. We need to improve the appearance of the stalls, and there is also the need to change the rules so that the stalls will be provided with the best business environment. And we also need to address the needs of stakeholders. We need to start from street planning. We look at the topography, the orientation, the population mix in the community, the number of stalls, the distribution of stalls, so on and so forth. We need to adopt a comprehensive approach. Government officials, professionals, and store operators and other stakeholders should work together. It should be a multi-level involvement undertaking. The hawker trade can consider asking academics, professionals, and also local people to participate in the design of the hawker bazaars or hawker areas. And the hawker bazaars can accommodate different kinds of trades and try so that the hawking trade can flourish. I will now invite two people who have not spoken, and they are Ms. Leung of the Civic Party. The first one is Ms. Leung, Civic Party. Thank you, Chairman. I'm glad to have the opportunity to speak on behalf of the Civic Party on the Civic Party's policy. Now, the Civic Party is concerned about this issue. We claim there is a hegemony of the developers. That is also the hegemony of the LEUNG REIT. We see increased rent. We can see that the shopping malls are raising the rent. We see that the LEUNG REIT malls are raising the rent. So all shops have closed down. Shops run by young people have to close down because of rising rent. What is left behind are dispensaries or goldsmith shops or jewelry shops. And local culture may be stifled because of the wave of rent increase. And there are no local shops, no local malls, and really small shop operators have nowhere to do business. Now, even in old shopping malls, the traditional shops and old shops have to close down. Development of stores will help to make up for this shortfall. You may want, say, the city to be clean, everything is sterilized, and there should be no more hawkers. And that will only stifle the vitality of the city. Now the government has the assistance scheme, voluntary surrender scheme, and the law enforcement is not uniform. We can see that there is little room for survival for the hawker stores and for the hawkers. Number of hawkers is declining. The actual number of hawker stores that are really doing business is just about 4,000 or so, and that undermines the job opportunities of the low-income earners. We have a very narrow choice in terms of jobs. Those who are not skilled or who are not so educated, they can only be hawkers. And elderly people are not able to trade in the streets, and therefore these people will have to rely on CSSA. Now in Kwun Tong, in the redevelopment area, there are many hawkers. Now we are following up the issue in Yan Chun Lane. There are hawkers trading there for decades. Because of technical reasons, they are not given adequate compensation. They are just given they will just be given tens of thousands of dollars after trading for several decades. In fact, they don't want the extra payment. They want to get a store so that they can continue their business. But but the government is just going to reduce the number of hawkers and also hawker stores. Now these hawkers are being moved out very soon, yet they have no alternative. I've heard the comments on Tin Sao Market. In Tin Shui Wai, there is some problem with the operation. Now, concerning the number of applicants, there are 200 stalls, but the number of applicants is 3,800. If you look at the number of applicants, you know that there are too many applicants and too few stalls. We hope that the administration will have a comprehensive policy on hawker stalls or hawker pitches. There should be a wide consultation as early as possible. I believe the policy will be supported by the public. Thank you. Next is Mr. Khan of the concerning SSA, no, Mr. Lee of the concerning CSSA and Low Income Alliance. I speak on behalf of the Alliance. Mr. Khan is not able to not able to attend today's meeting. I speak on his behalf. Hong Kong is well developed in terms of financial services and real estate business. But this kind of prosperity is superficial, in a sense that not everybody can enjoy the fruit of prosperity. The social mobility is rather limited. What is the present hawker policy? The government says that Hong Kong is pluralistic in terms of its economic activities, but the government's policy is just to drive away all the hawkers. There is no policy to care for the hawkers. Hawkers are regarded as second-class. Second-class citizen. They cause obstruction to fire safety. They cause fire safety problems. They cause obstruction to traffic. The government just want to clamp down on hawkers. Hawkers' needs have not been recognized. So we can see the situation worsening for the hawkers. Many people have become hawkers, even if there is a growing economy. They have to take risks in order to make a living. The government is the regulator. It wants to preserve the urban appearance of Hong Kong, and it doesn't care for the difficulties of the grassroots. The government tries to reduce the number of hawker licenses and try to enforce laws against the unlicensed hawkers. Recently, it seems that there is a change in the attitude of the government. But we want the administration to issue more hawker licenses. The government should change its role as a regulator. The government should promote the development of local community economy. Issuing a few confectionery licenses, frozen confectionery license, cannot help much. Hawkers and good urban appearance can go hand in hand. Hawking is part of the local culture. Hawkers are not chain stores. They are not so impersonal as chain stores. And hawkers are not affected by high rents. That is something welcomed by the people of Hong Kong. The government should give priority to hawkers because it has to care for the living of the people. The hawking trade can also promote tourism. We should make reference to the bazaars and markets in Taiwan and also in Thailand. The government should change its fundamental hawking policy, change its mindset as a regulator. Hawking should be a buffer for the low-income earners, and hawking should be revitalized. Well, on behalf of all of the members of the panel, I would like to welcome the individuals and groups who have spoken. You have given us a lot of valuable advice. We have architects, we have frontline hawkers who work day in, day out. They are licensees, they are hawker assistants, bracing the weather, making a living. I hope that the Undersecretary has heard them. I give the floor to you so that you may respond to them in order to have a focused discussion. I think you should focus on the following issues in your response. First, many who have spoken have made accusations to the executive. And the accusations are as follows. You have not formed a suitable policy in respect of the positioning of hawkers. If at all possible, you should explain that to us. What is the position of the hawkers in your policy? Another concern is that the government's role is just the regulator. The government is not doing its part in terms of enabling the hawkers to do their business in compliance with the government's hawker policy.
This is something that you should respond. The details include the dimensions of each store, the way the law is enforced, no consistent standards have been used, causing nuisance to the hawkers, and making it difficult for the hawkers to operate. This is the second major area to which you should address. The third major concern is the assistance. A lot of them said that, well, the hawkers are happy to receive $120,000, especially the elderly, to surrender the license. That's a good thing for the elderly. But then their assistants need to make a living still. So if possible, please respond on that point. Lastly, several speakers have made this point. There are a number of people who come from Fa-Yuen Street. They are worried about what will happen after the relocation exercise, what impact it will pose on them. They're very concerned about this. I think you can respond focusing on these four major concerns. And if you have any good news to us, then that would be more than welcome. Undersecretary, please. Thank you, Chairman. First of all, I would like to thank the many deputations, hawker trade representatives, and other concerned groups on hawker policies and livelihood for coming today to give us very constructive views and opinions. I heard your views, and I heard many people sharing your feelings. Well, I would like to thank Dr. Kenneth Chan for suggesting that this hearing be held so that we can hear hawkers' views and stories and feelings. Some speakers said that FEHD does have a good dialogue with the hawkers. The chairman has raised several aspects, and coincidentally, I have also jotted down those points, so I would respond to them one by one. Many deputations have said that under the existing hawker policy, there is room for improvement. And also they asked whether we have conducted any specific studies on hawker policy. Some have to do with details, and some have to do with development directions, and some have to do with suggestions on how to make concrete improvements. We can respond to them, the points raised one by one. Many hoped that the current policy should be reviewed, but there are others who said that some new policies have just been implemented, so they hope that we should wait and see how the present policy fares before another review is conducted. So we've heard that view too. The administration agrees that the hawkers trade has a long history in Hong Kong, and fixed pitch hawker areas are in locations which are very accessible, and they offer cheap goods to people. So hawkers are very much part of life of Hong Kong people. So the administration has strived to provide a good business environment for hawkers, but at the same time, we are a responsible government, and we are duty-bound to maintain order in the community and minimize any adverse environmental impact caused by hawkers, especially after the fires in Fa Yuen Street. The FEHD and FSD are very concerned about the fire risks of hawkers, and under the present hawking policy, and we are trying to strike a proper balance between allowing legal hawking activities and maintaining environmental hygiene. People talked about the positioning or the of the hawking policy. The Food and Health Bureau and the FEHD in 2008 and 2009, we conducted a comprehensive review on hawker licensing policy, and the results were that without compromising environmental hygiene, we have issued new hawker licenses, i.e. the frozen confectionery licenses. And also we've relaxed the requirements for access, succession to, and transfer of hawker licenses. And we are also making better use of vacant stores. And that those recommendations or proposals were made in response to hawkers and public's views. For now, FEHD is gradually implementing the recommendations made at that time. While we heard speakers saying that some hawkers have been receiving letters from FEHD, that's precisely the measures we are taking to implement the recommendations made then. And in April, we've already issued the 61 small ice cream vendors license. Please allow us some time to assess the results of our latest measures, and then we'll make a review later. Some deputations also said that the FC has approved a funding of $230 million for 4,300 hawkers. This is an assistance scheme, and the aim is to enhance the fire prevention facilities, or that's of hawkers, and that some hawkers may have to be relocated. Those situated at staircase discharge points. People will be concerned about this, and our FEHD colleagues can supplement on that particular aspect later. Our utmost concern is safety. If stores are in the way of means of escape, then we would hope to relocate them. We hope hawkers can appreciate this is the purpose, and that they be accommodating in the measure if it causes them any inconvenience. And we will be hoping them they can cooperate with us. Now, FEHD, for the moment, would hope to focus its attention on this assistance scheme, which will affect thousands of hawkers. This is a major large-scale scheme. In the panel, we have held many discussions on this topic. We are conducting a review on hawkers and the markets. The chairman mentioned or raised some issues of concern. As particularly on the positioning of regulating or developing the hawker trade. The FEHD is duty-bound to ensure environmental hygiene. Many deputations have raised very innovative ideas on how to develop the hawking trade, how to build markets for them, and how the trade can be revitalized to contribute better to the community. This is altogether a different subject. Of course, different bureaus are also looking after this area, and we would strive to reflect their views or these views to the other bureaus. As to the concerns on assistance and relocation of hawkers, perhaps I will defer to the Director of Food and Environmental Hygiene, Mr. Leung, to supplement. Mr. Leung? Well, on behalf of FEHD, I would like to thank all the deputations and individuals who came here today. I would like to supplement a few points. Some deputations felt or believed that our aim is to phase out the hawkers. That's absolutely not true. And some said that FEHD considers hawkers as thieves. That's not a fair criticism of the FEHD. Now, the Secretary has actually visited Marble Road and Bowring Street in September and raised an assistance scheme to help relocate their stores and reconstruct their stores. For FEHD, in fact, we have changed our mindset towards hawking. We are now very concerned about the business environment of hawkers, their livelihood, and we hope that they can get good business and be able to fend for themselves. The store may support the life of a family for several generations. For myself, I visit Jardine Crescent every week and Abley Street in Shamshui-Po every month. So I am very familiar with all the concerns raised by the deputations. In managing the stores, I don't agree that we are adopting a top-down approach. We are treating you as partners, and we try to collaborate with the hawkers. Some deputations said that we should adopt a district-based approach. Well, we're not even doing that. We are doing a street-based approach. In the 43 hawker areas, we have established 16 hawker management consultative committees. Well, in the past several months, we have held meetings twice every month. And we hope to strengthen fire prevention facilities and the transparency of our enforcement action. And we have arranged for fire drills and seminars on fire prevention. After we've launched the assistance scheme, we have issued a letter to 4,388 licensees. We have held over 30 consultative meetings attended by over 3,000 licensees. In some districts, the attendance is 100%. Well, never has the FEHD held such comprehensive consultation sessions. In our discussions, we proactively discussed ways to minimize fire risks. My feeling is that the licensees are very reasonable people, and they are concerned about the safety of residents in the neighborhood, and they listened very carefully to our suggestions, and they've raised suggestions on how to make improvements. And they know that we are very determined to go forward with the relocation exercise, and they're more than happy to collaborate with us. And in 2 or 3 districts, we have forged a consensus, and we would be making concrete preparations for the relocation very soon. So I hope to thank the Federation of Hong Kong Kowloon Anti-Hawker Association and hawker associations in various districts for supporting our work.
But I cannot underestimate the difficulties. 500 or so stalls will have to be relocated from the means of escape, and also some will have to be relocated from the emergency vehicular accesses. And in doing the relocation, we will face difficulties. This is one of the largest reorganization for many years, but we have got a good start. And a dozen or so representatives of hawkers say that there is no need to conduct an overall hawker policy review. As said by the Undersecretary, in 2008-2009, we had a large-scale review. We issued several hundred hawker licenses. In the past few years, quite a lot of things has happened. Many hawker representatives are worried that outsiders who are not familiar with their situation will do something bad out of good intention. And when there is a review, there will be uncertainties. And there may be changes after the review in respect of law enforcement and rules. Since there have been so many new measures in the past few years, and since these new measures have just been launched, the view of the hawkers is that some time should be given to let these new measures to settle and watch what is the outcome of these measures. What are the outcomes of these measures? If we are able to understand the rules of the game, there will be less conflicts. In fact, because of our communication and interaction, and because of our partnership with the increase in trust, we have issued less prosecution tickets. I appreciate the wish of the licensees in respect of having a more stable policy and less changes. As for the suggestion of reissuing the number of licenses after they have been surrendered. Now, after we launched the scheme for a few weeks, the surrendering is not too many. About 40 or so licensees or 40 or so hawkers have surrendered their licenses. And we expect that the situation may not be so bad that the sustainability of the hawking trade is undermined. We will, as said by the Undersecretary, we will keep an eye on the development of the assistance scheme. We will keep an eye on the relocation exercise, and then we will consider the overall situation, the environmental hygiene issues, the fire hazards, the views of the district councils before we will do anything or will introduce anything new. In fact, we did have an exercise in which 70% of the stalls given to the assistants with priority. We will look at the implementation of the assistance scheme. We will relocate a few hundred stalls that obstruct the means of escape or that obstruct the EVAs. Our objective is not to reduce the number of stalls. We want to get some space so that hawkers who have to be relocated will be allocated within the same stretch or in the same street or in the same district. Some business operators, some residents are concerned about the location of the new stalls. Relocation is a must, but I don't want to exercise the power, the legal authority that is vested in me. I want to do it through negotiation with the hawkers. Would like to listen to the suggestion of hawkers. If the counter proposal is feasible, if the counter proposal doesn't cause any danger, we are happy to listen to their advice. As for the issue of the assistance, at the meeting in April and March and at the FC meeting, we've commented on that. The law requires the licensee to operate the pitch personally. The hawker is just to the assistance is there to assist the licensee when the licensee is unable to attend to his business at the pitch, when the licensee is having a meal or having other kinds of things that he has to attend to necessarily. As for the assistants, they can talk to their licensees. The licensees, the assistants are worried that a large number of licenses will be surrendered. According to current situation, is not so enthusiastic. With regard to the hawker assistants, if they need to seek jobs because their licensees have surrendered the license, I hope the hawkers associations can help. That's my preliminary reply. Thank you. Two have come in late. Now, they don't open their stores today and they come to meet us. I think it's really unkind not to allow them to speak. So I'll give them the floor if it is agreeable to you all. Mr. Chen of Fayin Street. I hope the administration will care for our assistants. Our assistants have been helping us for a very long time. They have no benefits. They don't ask the government to give them compensation. They hope that the government will be kind enough to make arrangements for them so that they can make a living on their own. They just want to stand on their own feet. They don't want any assistance or financial assistance from the government. Thank you. Next is Mr. Ao, Land Justice League. The last speaker among the deputations. We insist that no one should sacrifice. We should recognize the value of hawkers. The government favors the developers, the real estate developers, the capitalists, Therefore, the government drive away the hawkers. The government has a duty to recognize the contribution of hawkers. The number of hawkers should not be reduced. If a license is surrendered, the license should be reissued, and vacant stalls should be put up for application by the assistants first before opening up the stalls for other bidders. There should be a wide consultation on developing a hawker policy. There should be different hawker bazaars in different districts in order to maintain our culture. I open the floor to members. The members who have indicated that they want to ask questions, they are Wong Kok-heng, Kenneth Chan, Wong Kok-heng, Claudia Mo, Lee Chia-yen, Tommy Chung. Ms. Claudia Mo has submitted a motion. The Vice Chairman has an amendment to her motion. Okay, 5 minutes each. Wong Kok-heng and then Kenneth Chan. Chairman, I want to approach this issue from 2 angles. This is not the first time. Since I joined this council in 2004, I have been urging the government to comprehensively review the hawker policy and formulate a long-term and correct hawker policy and introduce suitable measures. It is not the first time I mention it today. I started with it in 2004 with the abolition of the municipal councils. The administration took over the policy, the hawker policy. The administration does not allow an elected body to deal with the hawker policy. The municipal councils have elected members. They were able to deal with the hawker policy effectively, and there weren't so many problems as they are today. If the government if the government cares, it should look at the long-term hawker policy. It shouldn't just adopt a piecemeal approach. And there are concerns of the operators. I thank the operators for coming. I thank the hawkers for coming. In particular, the Federation of Hong Kong, Kowloon, New Territories Hawker Associations. The Federation represents dozens of hawker associations. They are concerned about changes in government policy. Say, for example, the improvement, the reorganization of the pitches, and then the policy is just in place or is just being implemented for 1 or 2 weeks, and they're afraid there will be changes. That's the first thing. The second thing is this. As for the itinerant hawkers, they're afraid that their licenses will be taken away. Now the itinerant hawkers are old, and if they are arrested, they will die very soon. The third issue is the assistants. Now they will not be benefited by the surrender, and they cannot continue to operate if the license is surrendered. They are caught in various difficulties. The third is by the Dairy Products Workers Association. They ask for the further issuing of the small ice cream traders license. We have been fighting for that, and the administration has agreed to relax a bit. But why can't there can be further relaxation? There were as many as 300 frozen confectionery itinerant hawkers licenses. these are the 4 major issues that are close to the hearts of the hawkers. The government has to listen to them. You are nodding your heads. You shouldn't draw up your policy behind closed doors. You shouldn't do anything to take away their chance of making a living. Now, this is the first thing I want to say.
Secondly, the CY Leung's government and the present government should recognize the small operators, hawkers' contribution to Hong Kong's community. And hawkers and small operators have played an important role in helping Hong Kong to revitalize after the war. I've noted that a lecturer, Dr. Leung from PolyU, he said, he raised 8 suggestions for the administration's consideration. I think these are good suggestions and comprehensive suggestions. I hope the administration can gain a better understanding on the operational difficulties of the hawkers and to take a long-term perspective and draw up a long-term and correct hawker policy. I don't need any response from the administration. Dr. Kenneth Chan, and the next is Mr. Christopher Chung. I thank the chairman for expressing our gratitude to the hawkers who are here. They should be running their business this morning, but they chose instead to come here to express their worries and aspirations. And there are also assistants here. Well, in the past few years, I've had the opportunity to help hawkers in various districts, including the boot black licensees and the ice cream vendors and so on. As a directly elected member, I have to deal with all these requests for help. As electoral member, we support or urge the government to do a good job in managing the various hawker areas. But not only that, we should improve the environment for hawkers or maintain a stable working environment for the hawkers. I also note the factor on development. I've grown up in Changsha Wan, Sham Shui Po, and I walked. I knew about the streets around Portland Street. Well, when overseas visitors came, I would take them to Temple Street, Abley Street, and Fa Yuen Street. And these streets form an important part of our city landscape, as important to tourism and so on. So that's why we're worried, given this new policies implemented after the Fa Yuen Street fire. I've listened carefully to what the director said. He said that he is very diligent and he has listened to views from people. And there is one particular point mentioned by the director. He mentioned about the assistants who are going to be affected because of the surrender of licenses. And he said that he is going to render help to these assistants. Can the director elaborate the kind of assistance that will be provided? We don't want to see the situation where hawker areas will wither because of the surrender policy. So, Director, please, about the assistance. We are a regulatory and enforcement body, law enforcement body. We don't include the assistance licensees in our surrender policy. So would it be possible that the hawker trade associations can help the assistants to see whether any other stores can employ these assistants of licensees who have surrendered their licenses. I think this is very important that assistants may want to become the licensees or the bosses themselves. Would you consider reissuing licenses? We are talking about a 5-year period. You want to have a vibrant business environment for the hawkers. And can you negotiate or talk with the hawkers and see how you can help assistants to become the licensees themselves? As I said, the FEHD faces a great difficulty. Some 500 stores are in the way of staircase discharge points, and they're blocking the fire engines and the aerial ladders in putting out fires. So we have to relocate some 500 stores. And when we try to locate vacant stores, we encounter great difficulties. Well, and then initially we see that we receive a lukewarm response to the policy for surrendering licenses. So it would be difficult for us to find sufficient vacant stores to relocate the other store, the problematic stores. So anyhow, we have an open attitude. And after the plan has been implemented for some time, and if we have, we are capable of issuing new licenses, we will consider that. In the past, we've given priority to assistance in issuing new licenses. Now, the plan of surrendering license has been implemented for only 2 weeks, and at this point, we are yet unclear on whether the policy or the plan is feasible. Give us some time to assess the results of the plan. I can't be more categorical or undertake anything for the moment. Mr. Christopher Chung, followed by Ms. Claudia Mo. Mr. Christopher Chung. Well, thank you, hawker friends, for attending the meeting today. I think the director is so very diligent. I would invite him to go down to Zhongyang Street to take a visit every week. I was once a member of the UPCO. Hawker policy in the 60s was aimed at taking care of the jobless or those in need. So the hawkers were the underprivileged people, and we need to give them preferential policies. The hawker trade can help the underprivileged groups to get to make a living, and they also help people to enjoy cheap goods. Well, unavoidably, some impact is going to be created. Nuisance cost to people in the neighborhood. Some people may have got used to such nuisance, but that's not good enough. And in Taiwan, there are some 200 stores, and people found them a nuisance. And some young people actually asked for space to be a hawker, but then actually hawkers cause many problems: noise pollution, traffic congestion, and so on. And they also bring adverse impact on the shops themselves. The shops have to pay a high rental, and then the hawkers are just paying several $1,000s as their license fee. But why still we still have a hawker policy? Because we want to help the underprivileged. The stores are just located in front of the shops, blocking the shops and so on. Well, you go down to Jardine Street, Crescent, you know that we're we are there to help the hawkers. In Chongyang Street, the shops are finding it not fair that there are stores there, so the shops are actually extending the business area out 20 feet. So there are conflicts between the hawkers and the shops, and we have to tread very carefully. And a member has just drafted a motion. I think we have to be very careful. Now we have these new fire regulations, and we have to relocate some of the problematic stores, and we have to provide for some vacant pitches for these relocated stores. And I also support that the assistants be given the right to run the store where the licensee has surrendered his license. And also, I think the stores should be relocated within the same district. If you allow new people to join the trade in the streets, then you will be creating competition among the hawkers. If you have vacant pitches, you should give them to those in need, the CSSA recipients, so that they can fend for themselves to address their unemployment rate. Now, I don't think any newcomers should be allowed to join in the trade after a licensee has surrendered his license for $120,000. If there are new pitches or vacant pitches available, you have to tread carefully. You have to listen to the views of the district councils, the area committees, to the people in the neighborhood before you allocate the new pitches. Now, after the fire, there are so many new policies which are so very irritating to the hawkers. New electrical wirings is very costly, costs over $10,000. And we talked to the power companies, and we said that we can do it in a simpler way, a 50 amp socket or whatever. So please, the hawkers are the underprivileged group. Don't pose too heavy a burden on them. You should earmark some funds to help improve the environment of the hawker areas. Ms. Claudia Mo next. Thank you, Deputations, for giving us so many views. I was touched. Ms. Sher from LEUNG Street, talking about the stressful condition of the hawkers. Mr. Ken Chok-hung, the young social worker. Well, that's actually Mr. Lee Ka-cheng, the one sitting by the side, right? Oh, you've changed. Well, you are a replacement, right? Okay. The hawkers are providing personalized service as opposed to the chain shops. I would not be boastful about how familiar I am with the problematic hawking policy here. Let's be more pragmatic. And I don't doubt the director's enthusiasm either. I trust you. Trust what you said. I trust that you and Dr. Koh are very sincere in addressing the problem. And Dr. Koh and yourself, Mr. Leung, are new in your positions. I'm sure that you would come up with all sorts of new ideas. You are sort of inheriting the past hawking policies, but I think you should try to come up with new policies as well. You don't necessarily have to stick to the old policies because they are not necessarily good policies. I can't say that I am very familiar with hawker problems. Well, you said that you have taken on a new mindset. I don't see how new that is. Well, just criticize the hawkers for causing environmental problems, creating noise, pollution, and so on. In Tsim Sha Tsui, the bus depot was relocated, and the original idea was to build a fountain, a Roman type of fountain there. Well, that's a very surprising suggestion. Well, I have a very humble wish, and my motion is that the panel would request that the government that for the number of licenses surrendered, they will be given over to the assistants so that they can make a living. The undersecretary or the directors said that the trade should help the assistants themselves. I don't think that's good enough. I don't think it's fair to ask the assistants to change jobs. I think the same amount of licenses surrendered by the licensees should be given over to the assistants. Mr. Christopher Chung said that other people might come and apply for licenses, and that's not good. Now, say if you've got back 40 licenses surrendered to you, and then say if 32 assistants come forward to apply for the licenses, can they all be granted the license? Can you not undertake to do that? Actually, hawker areas were not as dirty or as untidy as we imagined. Say in London, Covent Garden, and in the Water Market in Thailand, and other open-air bazaars in Thailand, while all of them are kept very tidy and they have become hot tourist spots. I think Hong Kong can model after those.
Say in West Kowloon, in Ableu Street, in Huayuan Street, in Tung Choi Street, in Temple Street, do not drive all the walkers away, but you give people's impression that you are trying to eradicate the hawkers. Now, will you give an undertaking of allowing the assistants to get the license? Well, you have 15 seconds left only. I hope you reconsider this. Now, with the agreement, if you say the license will only be given to the assistants if the district council agrees, how can you allow that? It should be a territory-wide policy. Next, Mr. Raymond Chan. Thank you, Chairman. Now, the topic is hawker policy. Many people speak on the assistance scheme. The others speak on broad issues. I thank you for giving their views. I thank them for giving their views. But I think Hong Kong doesn't have a broad hawker policy. I don't know whether the hawkers agree, whether there is a policy to help hawkers in Hong Kong. Now, according to the Bureau, the existing hawker policy is to allow a proper balance between allowing legal hawking activities on one hand and maintaining environmental hygiene, protecting the public from undesirable effect on the other. It is about balance. It is about issue a policy on issuing license. It's not about the development of hawking trade. But what the deputations say are mainly related to the development of hawking trade. If it is about the development of hawking trade, it isn't just limited to one bureau. If you talk about the bazaars, local culture, it belongs to the Home Affairs Bureau. If it is about tourism industry or tourism attraction, hawker bazaars is tourist attraction, then it is within the Commerce and Economic Development Bureau's portfolio. What we can do at present is the licensing policy as far as the Food and Environmental Hygiene Bureau is concerned. I want to ask the Undersecretary whether the administration wants to have a policy on the development of the hawking trade. If the answer is none, then it's just like the City Forum, which is just a talk shop. Okay, go back to this topic. Does the administration want to leave the hawkers to wither? But according to the government's policy, then the arrangement will just reduce the number of hawkers. Now, you only have 40 licenses surrendered in 2 weeks, but there will be more to come. And anyways, there will be a decline in the number of hawkers, or a decline in the number of licenses. Now, there may be less hawkers, but the business environment of the hawking trade will also deteriorate. You may say that your policy is not to assist the development of hawking trade. I just want to know your policy, whether you want it to wither, want the business hawking trade to wither, or you just sit there and you don't do anything, or you will reissue the licenses. It says, Para 6, it says that the administration will provide, in collaboration with relevant departments, appropriate assistance to the proponents of such bazaars if they have identified suitable sites with support and local districts and are able to satisfy requirements on food safety and environmental hygiene. So it will be the private sector taking the lead instead of the government. Is it the case? I thank Mr. Chan for his view and also his very succinct observations. But we have no intention to leave the hawking trade to its own destiny and let it wither. Now, your question is that if we don't reissue the license after many have surrendered, what will be the consequence? And if there are few hawkers in the streets, then there will be a poor business environment. As said by the director, we have just started the scheme for 2 weeks. We will keep an eye on the situation. The primary objective is to get enough vacant pitches for the relocation of 500 or so stalls which are causing obstruction to the MOEs and EVAs. And yes, please forgive me. I want to listen to the first question. Do you intend to establish a hawking policy? I have heard. I believe you've heard us. We have we will reflect your view. We'll actively consider your suggestion. As said by Mr. Chan, different bureaus may be involved. We will, of course, reflect your views. Perhaps the director can supplement. Please be quick. The Undersecretary has stressed that we had a comprehensive review in 2008-2009. The trade may think the review is not of a high level, but we've adopted a pragmatic approach. And even Mr. Chan, I believe Mr. Chan has heard us. You've heard the views of the hawkers. They are not concerned about the so-called highbrow approach, such as developing a culture or things like that. They want to have less uncertainty. If we give them the environment, then they can develop the hawking trade in an organic manner, and they will be able to do it well. Leung Chi-yuen, and then followed by Tommy Cheung. I would like to respond to the director. I really want the groups to speak. It's not about high-level development. It's not about the development in the world, in the whole world. The question is whether there is a hawker policy, whether there's a policy to protect the hawkers. You say a high-level policy is about is part of life for the people of Hong Kong. It's a culture, an indispensable part of the culture. Even if it is not about a high level, something on a high level, they want a good environment for them to develop. Is there a good environment for them to develop? If there is none, then that's a problem. We can look at it from two levels. On the high level, what should city life be? And should hawking be part of the culture? When you go overseas, you look at the culture, you find it. You look at the hawkers, you find that very interesting. There's a kind of sense of belonging. There is a sense of community. It's not just supporting the disadvantaged. I don't agree with Christopher Chong. Hawking can only be for the underprivileged and the able-bodied. The muscular fellows should not be allowed to do hawking. I really find it strange. There should be this kind of neighborliness, this kind of community spirit, and we should allow hawking from this perspective. But having heard the reply from the administration, I don't see any policy. You have no intention to leave them to their own destiny, leave them to wither. But in fact, you don't intend to do so, but you still allow them to do so. As for the morning markets, they don't cause any trouble to their shops. Now, in fact, they are not causing obstruction. If you look at Chai, they are not causing any obstruction. People patronize the morning market, but the hawkers are driven away every day. Now, I have no intention to stop the reorganization for safety's sake. But can you allow room for the hawking trade to develop? Can there be hawker bazaars, more hawker bazaars? Now, the foreigners want to go to the hawker bazaars in Hong Kong. They go to the Women's Street. Sorry, I don't go there. My apologies, I don't go there. That's my preference. I don't like it. That's part of my cultural life, but I respect you. These are good things. The souls are good things. Is there a policy to find more places to the hawkers to do their business? Is it possible? Number two, after you have recovered the licenses, how many will you reissue? Or you just recover 40 and then you use them to accommodate the other hawkers? And if you don't reissue, what will be the total number of licenses that will be reduced? Now, the Undersecretary has said by the Director, we don't want to cut the number of hawker licenses. Under the present policy of the assistance scheme, we need to accommodate the 500 or so hawkers who will be relocated in order to reduce fire hazards. The FEHD will look at the business environment of the hawkers. At previous meetings of the panel, members said that there wouldn't be too few hawkers in the fixed pitch areas. We will monitor the situation. And we also give priority to the assistance there is a precedent, and we'll actively consider that. Chairman, I want to have a number. Now, concerning the surrender scheme, what will be your? Do you have a target, and how many do you expect will be surrendered? Chairman, concerning the number, we have recovered about 40 odd licenses, but we are to relocate 550. The outstanding balance is negative 510. We need some time to deal with this problem.
On the policy, perhaps the clerk can submit the paper on our 2008-09 review to members for their reference. I've read through that paper. It seems that there aren't any new developments. Negative 510, well, it's very problematic. How can you say that is not leaving the trade to wither on its own? Now, there are 5 members on the queue, not including myself, and as we still have 2 motions to deal with, 1 motion and 1 amended motion. I would like to ask for an extension of 30 minutes to the meeting, and that meeting will end at 12:30. No objection, right? Okay, Mr. Tommy Zhang. Next, followed by Dr. Helena Wong. Chairman, Mr. Christopher Chung and I were both ERPCO members and district councillors of the Eastern District, but we have different views. The Liberal Party has all along been supportive of hawkers. But conversely, political parties tend to change their stance in face of criticisms. I cannot say that the muscular-bodied persons are the privileged group. I am maybe a privileged group too, although I'm of a strong build. And Mr. Leung Chi-yuen has left. Well, he is of the view that the businessmen are necessarily the unscrupulous traders. The hawkers are the underprivileged group. There is no question about it. Chairman, I support 90% of the director's opening remarks. I served the longest time in this panel. I was here when the panel was first set up. I've worked with many directors. Mr. Siu-hing is also a good director, and Mr. Leung here is also a good director. So I believe in what he said, and I believe that he would do whatever he promises. Now, concerning about leaving the trade to wither on its own, when Dr. Yok Chow was in position, and he was leaving all sorts of trade to wither on his own, the livestock traders, and he tried to recover their licenses at a very low cost. Now, the director, several months ago, said that he would respond to my request for a six-digit compensation for surrender of licenses. Now he's acceded to my request, and I have no reason to object him. And he said that not many people have surrendered the licenses. I don't give people the false expectation that I will fight for a higher sum for you. Well, I can tell you, Director, $120,000 is too small a sum to attract people to surrender their licenses. Well, if not many people surrender the licenses, you should consider raising the amount in the future. Well, we agree that safety is a major issue. Mr. Raymond Chen, what he said, I agree very much to what he said. We don't have a hawker policy. We just have a policy to let it die, or rather. we support the first pitch hawker or the cooked food stores, Tai Bai Tongs. The Liberal Party has all along been supporting the policy on the cooked food stores or Tai Bai Tongs. And now there are just some 20 Tai Bai Tongs in Hong Kong. And the policy has been relaxed, but no more people are interested in joining the trade. In Man Yuen, the stores have been left vacant. Why can't that be reopened again? There are many cooked food stores in central and western districts. Well, Chairman, I have all along been criticized by people. I'm one of the privileged group. I think the SARG lacks courage. They are leaving all the decisions to the discretion of the district councillors. Well, should we leave the decisions all to the district councils? And they have made, they have driven away all the OSAs and the hawkers. Well, several weeks ago, we read the news report that Hong Kong ranks 3rd in our competitiveness, and our business environment is deteriorating, no matter it is for the big traders or the small traders. Mr. Christopher Chung that the hawkers will have an impact on the shops, but at Liberal Party we haven't heard many complaints from the shops. Well, say for the ladies' market, the shops never complain to us. The street is bustling, hustling with life, and I think the government doesn't know anything about doing business, so they can't come up with any good policies. Dr. Helena Wong, many colleagues have asked this question. We agree that the government should draw policies in light of the fires at Fa Yuen Street, addressing problems relating to fire hazards. This is something that should be done, of course. But then if you try to recover licenses, the number of hawkers will be reduced drastically, and then the trade will die. We don't want such a situation, to see such a situation. We should give protection to the hawkers, the underprivileged group. We need a well-planned hawker bazaar, and we need a comprehensive hawker policy. You mentioned in 2009 you conducted a review, but today you have heard views that we should not pay attention only to fire risk and fire prevention. You should do more than that. We should not do more just to try to stifle their opportunities, but rather to help them run business. Can you undertake that after you've recovered the licenses, that the total number of licenses will not be reduced as a whole? You are talking about relocating the 550 stores. You are in fact stifling their existence. Can you conduct a comprehensive consultation for environmental protection? We are also coming up with this 10-year plan. On the hawker policy, can you do the same? Can you plan comprehensively how it relates to tourism, the local economy, how it can meet public expectations? Would you undertake to do a study or review a policy covering all the aspects that I mentioned? Dr. Helena Wong, thank you for your comment. I've heard many different demands just now. We've conducted a comprehensive review in 2008, and 2 weeks ago, a new scheme has been up and running, and we need time to assess the results of that scheme. We understand that it's important we develop the trade, and it needs efforts on the part of other bureaus as well. If in the course of drawing up a blueprint, we have to get a good grasp of the actual situation of the trade. And it would not be good if we come up with some plans without actually grasping the situation of the hawkers. Are you saying that you would not be embarking on a consultation on a hawker policy in the near future? Well, for the moment, we would wait and see how the surrender policy goes, because we already conducted a review in 2008-09. Well, if the administration wants to assess the results of the license surrender program before you do anything further, Wing Lung Street hawkers, can you tell us how the situation is as far as the surrender of license is concerned? Lam Kin Chang. The store owner is 88 years old and he wants to surrender his license. He will hand over the license in February. Upon the expiry of the license, he doesn't have any kids and he only has nephews, and he can't pass on his license to anyone else in the family. Does the administration know that in fact that a lot of the stores are being sublet? They are not the assistants, those running the stores. Do you know this or not? If you don't know about the reality, then that's not good. In Yuen Street, the licensees are renting out the stores at around $10,000 a month. Now, for those aged people in the 80s and 90s, it would be hard for them to continue with their operation. And for those younger in age, they would hand over or surrendering the license in 5 years' time. For those in operation, even if you give them $500,000, they would not hand over or surrender their license. Well, can you respond to the question? Do you know that about what Mr. Lam has said, the situation that people are subletting the stores or the license? Well, under the regulation, subletting is prohibited. Under the new license suspension and cancellation policy, if we find that there are cases of subletting, the license will be revoked immediately. So the store owners are actually running this risk now. So if they are advanced in age, they may choose to surrender their license to us. Ms. Chen Yin-han next. Thank you, Chairman. You have not responded directed to Mr. Chen Chi-yun's question. The store owners or the hawkers are not free to develop in any way they like. The administration is not attending to the conflicts among the hawkers and is not facing up to the issues. They don't have a comprehensive hawker policy. Two deputations have left. One is from Kwun Tong Mat-Wah Street. Now, after the new policy has been implemented, the licenses are not given over to the assistants. I think that all the hawker friends here have raised all the points. Under Secretary, you may sit on the Commission on Poverty, and hawker policy is one of the topics covered by the Commission. For any country or city, in their transformation of their economy, people will become hawkers, and there will be government policies to support them. The Commission on Poverty will visit Japan and Taiwan, and they will study the issue on how hawking policy can contribute to provide a living for people when the economy is not in a good condition. In Japan, the Tucker Gama tribe or the family in Akasuka. They have this market, and they have all kinds of support policies for the hawkers. And the Taiwan learned from Japan 10 years ago, and Taiwan has very good hawker policies, and the small operators are thriving. They are not being phased out, and they are let to develop freely. Well, I have a question for the deputations here. Do you develop freely in any way you like? I don't think you are having that sort of freedom. Well, the director has been complimented for being a very diligent official. I won't compliment him on that. And Undersecretary, you sit on the Commission on Poverty. In the 60s and 70s, the colonial government had to tackle problems in a very poor society.
They encourage people to stand on their own feet. Now, so after our work in the streets, we see people selling desserts, selling all kinds of food. In the UK, they have Covent Garden, and they have self-management. You don't allow them to manage themselves. You don't talk to them. Now, if you talk to them, you would have solved the problems. People don't need to bring their complaints here. Now, there is a wide poverty gap. The Poverty Commission should provide opportunities to the poor so that they can stand on their own feet. So are you interested to go with us to visit Japan and see how they encourage economic activities? Yes, the Undersecretary. Let me answer your question first, and then I'll make a short supplement. I thank Ms. Chan for her valuable advice. The Policy Secretary has asked me to sit on the Poverty Commission, and if the Poverty Commission has a policy on hawkers, we will do our best to accommodate. As for the communication with hawkers, and also the self-management of hawkers, well, I don't know whether Ms. Chan was present when the hawkers spoke. Some of the hawkers are of the view that they have communication with the FEHD, and there has been improvement. There is a consultative committee. If communication is not based on equal footing, then it's just a talk shop. Now, we have been following the issue of hawkers for many years. There is a Mr. Watt who passed away. We discussed with him on the giving license to the hawker assistants. Mr. Watt had passed away for more than a decade, and the problem is still here. We will take the matter up with Mrs. Lam. It is about helping the disadvantaged to get jobs. There should be self-management. At present, you just want to eradicate the policy is to eradicate the hawkers. I have interrupted you because I'm really anxious about the matter. How can you help those who want to stand on their own feet? Give them a license. The Vice Chairman, and then Wang Yongman. Now, different political parties say they have different views, and there are contradicting views. Well, I'm tall, I'm not muscular, and I'm always bullied. I think there is a problem with the government policy. The government doesn't have a long-term hawker policy. And You say there is no need for a policy. A policy may not be necessary. People just want to make a living. Yes, the objective is to make a living, but they need a policy to support them. A management policy is considered by the administration as a long-term policy. Apart from managing the hawkers, is there any policy to support the hawkers? Now, the licensees have a lot of views, the assistants have a lot of views, and we know there are difficulties in respect of dealing with the assistants. Can the administration tell us how many hawkers assistants are there? And how many hawkers assistants will be affected? How many assistants are allowed under one license? I don't want to see 10 or 20 assistants competing for one license and claiming to be the assistants of one licensee. First, on the assistants. The FEHD can provide the numbers. As far as the assistants are concerned, there is a registration system. The FEHD does not interfere into the relationship between the licensee and the assistants. But I believe they have numbers. I will consolidate the information and provide the number to the panel. As said by the Undersecretary, we have a simple registration system. We don't look into the relationship between the assistants and the licensees. They may be relatives. The assistants may be full-time, may be part-time. There are few restrictions on assistants. There are more than one assistant per license. Some licensee may have 3 or 4 assistants. The subject of regulation is the licensee. As for the numbers, I will provide them in writing. He has not answered my first question. Any support? Perhaps the director can comment on that. In the past, we are more inclined towards regulating the hawkers. After the Fayun Street fire, we believe that having a platform for making dialogues will be more effective. In the past, relocating the hawkers or the hawkers being relocated were not given any assistance. But now we've come up with an assistance scheme and we've obtained $230 million from the Finance Committee. It's a change, substantial change in direction. I believe it's a good example. I will give my view with the little time left. I don't know whether that is support at all. As far as I myself is concerned, I don't think whether the hawkers share my view. And it is not favorable to the long-term development of hawking trade. Maybe you have not considered leaving the hawkers to wither. Now, the policy in the 1960s might be right, but there has been no review. And I think the administration has to consider very carefully the relationship between the licensees and the assistants. Mr. Wang Yongman. Thank you, Chairman. The government just want to eradicate the hawkers. If they don't eradicate the hawkers, they cannot benefit the consortia. Look at the public housing estate. Look at the Ling Reed malls. You see Cafe de Coral, Maxim's, McDonald's, Kentucky Fried Chicken. You want to favor the consortia. You have a policy, and the policy is eradication. Mr. Tommy Chang was the chairman, and he hated Yok Chow and most. Chen Yunhan mentioned Taiwan. Now in Taipei, they have more than 10 night markets, and these night markets are orderly. Your policy is to regulate, to restrict, to eradicate. You want cleanliness. You want through traffic. You are not talking about development. Now, Thatcher proposed popular capitalism. Let people get involved. Let people fend for themselves. Let people stand on their own feet. But now you eradicate the hawkers. You have to pay $50,000 to sell cookies. What policy is it? We spend a lot of time on this, and you hope we have expectations. The government is just waiting for being overthrown. Hawker policy is to regulate, to restrict, to manage, and to eradicate. You don't know how to make use of this to encourage the lower stratum of our community to stand on their own feet. Give them a good platform to make a living. That's the responsibility of the government. It's not just charging a license fee. We ask you to install air conditioning for the markets. You manage the markets, and you're making laws every year. You make laws not because you subsidize the store owners or the storeholders. You don't subsidize the storeholders. Wong Kok-hing asks you to install air conditioning. He thinks that installing air conditioning will solve the problem of public markets. Even with air conditioning, the markets cannot survive. Now the markets are not having business. You have the street the hawkers in front of the markets. You try to stifle the stalls. Now, Madam Under Secretary, you are a learned person. Now, the gentleman, the bespectacled gentleman next to you is the seems to be a gentleman. It is the city management of China. It is something like city management of China, city management authority of China. Check it on the internet, and you know what does it mean. Now, there is no hawker policy at all. Now, in my constituency, there are many hawkers. Say in Bowling Street, Fuk Wing Street, Fa Yuen Street, Temple Street, W Street, all in my constituency. And now the Fa Yuen Street fire, I brought people to protest at the FEHD. Mr. Churk is here. Mr. Leung, not Mr. Churk. He's Leung Chi-yuen. He's not Churk Wing-hing. He was a nightmare. This is Leung Churk. Why? No, Leung Chi-yuen. Well, you are not familiar with me. Last time we argued with you. We got into a row with you because of the hawkers. Look at Sam Shui-po. Well, finally, we agree. Finally we were able to reach an agreement with them, with the hawkers. All right. I may not make full use of 5 minutes by saying this. Madam Under Secretary, I hope you understand this. Your policy should keep up with the times. Things are changing. Many tourist attractions are bazaars, markets, say organic food market, flower market. They are all attractive. The bazaars and markets are attractive. You should not adopt eradication as the hawker policy. You have a policy. The policy is eradication.
It is not a proactive policy on the part of the administration, but in the way how you enforce the legislation, you are in effect eradicating the hawkers. The hawker policy straddles across different policy bureaus. I'm very happy that Mr. Yuen Man-to, an architect, is here today. The Civic Party is of the view that the hawker policy should be drawn up taking into consideration urban planning considerations. As some hawkers said, because of the Fa-Yuen Street fire, you are blaming the hawkers themselves, and you give an excuse for the administration to step up the enforcement action, and people are terrified, and they are afraid of the so-called city management people, and they get scared when fire services department officials visit them, and they're scared by the police and so on. I have a simple question. Under Secretary, you have had so many views. We are all agreed that the government should draw up a policy for the hawkers. Would you have the resolve to draw up a policy? Well, maybe it's the responsibility of Dr. Kah-kit, but as his second hand, would you be moved by what we spoke today to consider drawing up a policy for the hawkers? Thank you, Mr. Leung. I thank the members for your comments. Mr. Wong mentioned about eradicating the hawkers. This is absolutely not true. Mr. Leung said that although we didn't intend to phase out the hawkers, would it be the case that by the policies we implement, we would be leaving the hawkers to wither? Well, that is something that we'll go back and study. And you asked whether we have the resolve to come up with a policy. We have different bodies, the Commission on Poverty and so on. We would digest your views expressed today, and we would reflect those to other policy bureaus and departments. And we hope to improve the business environment for hawkers. We have around 12 minutes left. Those who want to speak a second round, Ms. Claudia Mo and Dr. Kenneth Chan. And Ms. Mo, you have tabled a motion. Perhaps I'll give you 2 minutes each to express your views. Mr. Tommy Zhang, 12 minutes for dealing with 2 motions and 1 amendment, and that's not adequate. All right, let me move directly on to the motion. Ms. Claudia Mo, your motion. I hope that the administration can seriously consider that the panel urges that the administration, no matter how many licenses have been surrendered, the same amount or quantity should be given to should be opened up for application by assistants in the same district, and the remainder should be left for application by other members of the public. Well, a licensee may have 2, 3, or more assistants. I'm not trying to hurl any personal attacks on you, and the registration system for assistants is too lax, while that for the licensees is very strict. And if we recover 40 licenses, some 120 assistants may be affected as a result. And secondly, we urge the administration to preserve the existing bazaars. I don't agree to the amendment to the motion, because the amendment says that the consent of the DCs should be obtained first before the licenses are given over to the assistants. This is a major policy covering all hawkers. Say the Wan Chai District Council objects to it, and then Shamshabu District supports it, then we're getting nowhere, and it will never be implemented. So I hope that members can consider my views. Vice Chairman, can you take us through your amendment to the motion? Ms. Mo said that the same number of licenses recovered should be given over to the assistants. I have reservations on whether it's feasible. I have made a minor amendment. Well, it's the same goes for my amendment. The priority will be given to the assistants. Members also mentioned that the issue has to do with the entire community. So I have put in the consent of the DCs. And also, I have also added in one point that the government should commit more resources to help the hawkers trades develop and take care of their needs. We are unclear about the relationship between the hawkers, the licensee, and their assistants. So I think we have to conduct review on the regulations relating to the assistants. So I think that part should be added. So any discussions, any views on the motion and the amended motion? I want to raise a point relating to Ms. Mo's motion. I would foresee some difficulties for the government to issue the same number of licenses recovered to the assistants. The government's intention is to relocate some hawkers standing in the way of the staircase discharge points. I think there is a need to do that. I don't want to object Ms. Mo's motion on that point. I urge the administration to find another location within the same district for the dislocated hawkers to show that the government doesn't intend to tighten up its hawking policy. Now, for the Vice Chairman's amendment, well, everybody knows my stance. I'm very angry with the district councils all along. Mr. Raymond Chan, about the same number of licenses recovered granted to the assistants. That can be done in the short term or within the local district. But on a macro view or a macro level, the number of licenses recovered from one district can be allocated to the applicants in another district. Is that right? Well, in my amendment, I added this point about taking into account the number of licenses that can be granted. So I think that point addresses your concerns, Mr. Chan. So sorry, I would not be opening the floor to deputations for discussing this motion. The clerk reminded me that, sorry? The clerk reminded me that we should first vote on the amendment moved by the Vice Chairman, and if that gets passed, and then we would have to vote again on the amended motion moved by Ms. Claudia based on the Vice Chairman's amended motion. First putting to the vote is the amended motion moved by the Vice Chairman to Ms. Claudia's motion. Please raise your hands. Those for, raise your hands. Those against, please raise your hand. Well, division, claim a division. Well, if you said claims a division, I might have to ring the bell. Sorry. The clerk reminded that we don't necessarily have to ring the bell if we claim a division. All we need to do is to take down your names. Well, some members might have stepped out of the room. If you don't ring a bell, then they wouldn't know that a vote is being taken. So, claims for a division, bell ringing for 5 minutes.
咁啊，委員同意可以去到投完票為止啦。
仲有嗰個小組要討論，小組委員。
啊。
I know. So I would seek members' consent to extend the meeting for another 15 minutes. I think we have a quorum here. We have a quorum in the room, so I would seek members' consent to extend another 10 minutes after 12:30.
各位委員，10秒鐘之後就會進行投票啦，請大家
Please take your seats because we are going to cast a vote in 10 seconds. A show of hands. It will be by a show of hands. The question in front of members is the amendment of Mr. Ho to Ms. Mo's original motion. Those in favor, please raise their hands. Thank you. Those against, please raise their hands. The clerk knows you. Don't worry. Okay? Any abstention, please? No. 2 votes for and 5 votes against. The amendment is negatived. As for Ms. Mo's motion, those in favor, please raise their hands. Those against, please raise their hands. Those against, please raise their hands. No objection, 5 votes in favor, so the motion is carried. Now we have to deal with one simple matter. Mr. Kenneth Chan has written in on the 15th of March. He wrote to me and he proposed that under this panel we form a subcommittee to conduct a detailed study into the hawker policy. The clerk has told me that Mr. Chan's or Dr. Chan's proposal doesn't include the terms of reference of the subcommittee. This panel can only cast a vote in terms of the direction of this proposal. The clerk will prepare or rather, Mr. Chan will prepare the terms of reference for members' reference. We have 3 subcommittees on the list. We've agreed that there can only be 8, and the quota has been filled. There are 3 subcommittees waiting in the line. First, subcommittee on retirement matters, subcommittee on policies dealing with domestic violence, and this one, and also another subcommittee. So this one will be the 4th. Is there anyone against forming a subcommittee? No objection. Okay. And then the Secretary will prepare the terms of reference for us. The 25th of June, a Tuesday, there will be another market, another visits to the market. We're going to Tang Long Street, Java Street, and Java Road and Eldridge Bay. Those who have enrolled, please come on time. Okay. The Deputy Chairman, I have not voted. So what do you mean? You're present. You're just present. I just want to clarify this. I didn't ask whether there is any abstention. Okay, that's my fault. Next time I'll ask if there is any abstention. Okay, meeting adjourned.